Hi guys, this is Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist. In this occasion I'll be showing you the Busse Basic6 knife, which you see right here. Just received it a couple of weeks ago. It's already no longer available, so I'm showing you a knife that you'll have to do a bit of searching before buying someone that is offering it one for sale. Busse has a very weird way of offering their products. It's weird, but it's extremely effective for him because it does great in terms of business. There's like a demand created for it, but at the same time, when you want to hurry and buy one of the knives you see, you find out that it's not offered for sale directly by him. Right now, this knife being offered, he offers like one at a time. For example, right now the knife being offered at bussecombat.com is this one, the Boss Jack, which I previously reviewed. About this knife, one of the questions I had on YouTube was I glad with the knife after doing my own sharpening job? And the answer is yes. After sharpening the knife, which came with a sharpening job that wasn't exactly good. It was so-so. It wasn't sharp as it should be out of the box. It wasn't razor sharp. After doing it myself, it is razor sharp, and I'm very glad with the results. Of course, it couldn't be any other way, given that the steel used in the Busse knives is excellent. So yeah, the answer to that is yes. So as I was saying, they only offer one at a time on their website, and the ways of buying it is either catching the exact model you want at the time it's getting offered in their website at bussecombat.com. Right now you will be finding this one in different colors for the finish and the handle, but this model alone, right? If you want something else, you will have to go to bladesforum.com in the buy and sell sector, the forum where they buy and sell stuff, and look for the Busse and scrapyard knives. That's where you will find something that is no longer being offered by Busse himself. So the other way of buying it, besides going to the website, is going to the forum, Blades forum, and looking for the Busse forum, where they every now and then offer what they call the Gansas. The Gansas, for it's a strange term, but I'm telling it as it is. The Gansas are a post made by Jerry Busse where he says, okay, right now the Basic6 is being offered. It's going to be offered for a week. You can order as many as you want, but it's just going to be for a week or two, for example, right? So during those days when it's being offered, you can make your order and eventually, after a few weeks, receive your knife. After that, if you want that same model, you will have to go to one of the resellers and pay a bit more for it. So the cheapest way of getting a Busse knife is keeping an eye on Blades Forum and on Busse Combat and seeing if what you want is being offered. If not, wait a bit more or pay a bit more in the resellers at bladesforum.com. That's the way it's being offered, and seems a bit strange, but it's clearly very effective in terms of running business, which a company that doesn't do well in business is not going to be staying open for long. So I'm glad it's working for him that way. So right now, if you register at Blades Forum and go to the Busse forum, you will find that this one is no longer being offered. The current Gansa is for the Busse Basic 10, which is the same knife but with a 10-inch blade. Very interesting and very nice opportunity if you don't have one of the big Busse blades. I already have one, so I'm not gonna be getting into that. I just bought this one recently, and these are expensive knives, guys. This one costs a bit under $300. The Busse Basic 10 being offered right now costs around $327 for forum members. So these are clearly expensive knives. On the good side, these also have a good resale value, given that the offer is limited. If you buy, for example, this exact same knife that I have here, if I want to be selling it for the same money I bought it, I could just go to the Busse resale forum in bladesforum.com, look for the buy and sell forum, and sell this knife for just a bit over the price that I bought it for. Of course, as you use the knife more, the price does go down a bit. But these are very resistant knives, and unless you do a lot of damage to it, the resale value is right there on the top of what you can expect for knives. So that's something nice. My complaint with the previous knife was that first, it has no sheath, which hasn't changed. Second, the sharpening job wasn't very good. It wasn't razor sharp as it came, so I had to do a bit of work myself. You would expect that shouldn't be a problem, and I was glad to see that in the new knife I received from Busse, the sharpening job done by, here it is, Beef. You did a good job with this sharpening this knife. It's clearly polished at the edge. Let me show that. See, even if it's a satin finish, on the exact edge you see that it's perfectly polished. That polishing is what you want, so as to have a razor sharp edge, and this knife is in fact razor sharp, one of the sharpest knives I've seen out of a box. See how that edge disappears? A word regarding how to handle knives, especially when you go to gun shows and knife shows and such. How should you handle a knife? This is something that I've mentioned it before, but I think it's nice to mention it again, mostly so as to not upset a knife manufacturer that is offering his products on a table, and also so as to you looking like a more experienced knife aficionado. How is it that you should be handling? If it's displayed this way, as they usually are, first ask the person if you can pick it up. Yeah, go ahead. They are there to sell their product, so he won't say no, but it's still polite to ask first. Thanks, you pick it up. Don't start smearing your fingers all over the blade, because he will later have to take those out and remove those and leave it clean again, so as to leave it back in display. So be nice enough so as to not smear your fingers all over it. There's a bit of oil in your hands naturally, and especially when it's a custom made knife such as this one. You see a sheath comes with it, even if it's handmade knife. Maybe this isn't my most favorite sheath, but at least I have one, and the moment I bought my knife and I received it, I'm able right ahead to use it in whatever fashion I desire. Later, if I prefer kydex, if I want something else, that's my thing, that's my problem. But at least I got a knife with a sheath and can use it right ahead. A knife with no sheath, it's not usable. It's a tool that can't be used if you don't have a sheath. So, as I was saying before, if it comes with a mirror polished finish such as this one, you see it, your fingers will print much more easily. So be nice enough so as to not do that. The handle, that's where you should be grabbing the knife from. For checking the sharpness of the knife, I've seen the most stupid things done by people in knife shows and in gun shows. They start scratching their fingers, their fingernail. There's several valid ways of verifying how sharp a knife is. The moment to do so is not when you're in the middle of a knife show and the guy is trying to keep his knives in good condition. Be kind enough so as to do it in a way that doesn't upset the person that is kind enough to let you see his knives. You can see how sharp a knife is by placing it in a 90-degree angle from a light source and looking very closely. Let me change that so as to make it more. If you see a perfectly polished edge, look closely, keep it close to your eyes, look closely so as to see if it's perfectly polished, and that the exact line where the edge finishes should be a perfectly thin black little line with no glitters, no shiny spots. Those shiny little spots means that it hasn't been perfectly polished and the edge is not going to be as great as it could be. So just by looking at it, you already know how sharp it is. Okay, there are other valid methods of telling if a knife is sharp or not. Yeah, you can place your finger across it. If it catches the skin, as this one does, you can tell it's sharp. Some people place it in the fingernail, and if it catches and buries a bit in the fingernail, You know, it's another way of telling if it's sharp or not. But in a knife show, it's more polite to just take a good look at it, look at the general geometry, see if it's not bent or anything. These are all things that you can do so as to know what knife you're seeing, the quality of it. Of course, this isn't anything of a test. You're not going to be cutting rope in the middle of the show so as to check every single knife. But when inspecting a knife a bit, you know, that's the way you should behave yourself. After taking a look, thank you very much. Very nice product, very nice knife. Congratulations for your outstanding work. And leave it as you saw it, and that's going to be it, right? I know I've mentioned this before, but I think it's important for everyone to know how to handle these things, especially if you're watching this sort of video. It means that you are a bit of a knife aficionado, so it's nice to know how to do these things. The Busse Basic6, a bit under $300, so it's not an inexpensive knife. It's perfectly well balanced, which is something that I like a lot about it. You see that it balances right in where the handle finishes. That's the point where it balances. A bit more, yeah, about there. If I place my finger there, it goes forward, and that gives it, in spite of being only 6 inches, it gives it a bit of more momentum when swinging and using it for cutting. If you're gonna be chopping with it, in spite of just being a 6-inch blade, you still have a pretty thick blade. So with that extra thickness, the good steel use, and the curved edge, and a proper sharpening job, and that momentum you get from it, it's gonna be doing its job properly for its size as a chopper. Then as a general use knife, it is a good option. It is perfectly adequate for most tests you can come up for it. I don't like much the coil here. I would have preferred to have the edge all the way down here, but that's the way it was being offered at the time. So, you know, on the positive side, you can, you know, choke on it a bit more if you need to be doing a bit more detailed job. You can choke on it a bit more, yeah, and shorten the distance when working. It's a good size in terms of a general purpose knife that isn't very big or very heavy. Infi Steel offers some of the best prestations you can get from a knife, that some of the best characteristics you can get from a steel. It's better than 1095. It's better than most of the steels you will find. Actually, I consider it to be the best steel, the best knife steel offered, and that's why I buy Busse products. There's lots of excellent steels, and guys, please don't get me wrong. I mean, a $50 knife like for example, the Cold Steel SRK or the Recon made by Cold Steel. Those are also excellent knives, and you know, they cost like a fraction of what this knife costs here. And they will take lots of abuse and tolerate some of the most outrageous abuses you could think of, using it for prying, opening stuff. They are extremely good for their price, but they're still not as good as a Busse, right? So even though the difference is very small, and lots of people may not consider that difference worth the price we're talking about, it's still, you know, I still have to mention that you do get a bit more for what you're paying for. If the $50 knife does everything you need for it, if the K-bar knife you bought from Ontario and cost $50-$60 is doing everything you need for it, that's just perfect. Okay, this is for when you want a bit more, or when you want something of, you know, the more exquisite thing in terms of knives, right? So please don't send me like a ton of email and comments complaining about prices and such, because I understand that perfectly. The thing is that some of us guys are knife collectors. We have a ton of knives. Some are very expensive, some are more inexpensive. I mentioned all of them. It's basically about what I like and what I think you guys will be liking, right? So if I have the Spyderco Resilience that costs $40 and I consider it's an excellent value for the price you're paying, I'm going to be showing you that. If I like the Busse, I'm going to be showing you that as well, right? in a nutshell, if you want something that is of excellent, the best quality you can get, and you're looking at a 6-inch blade because you're thinking of a bug out bag or a survival kit, a kit that is gonna be may end up being carried by you. Okay, if you are using a vehicle, if weight is not a problem, I would go for a bigger knife, right? I would go for a machete, the cold steel machete, which I often recommend and such. Those are all excellent options. Now, when you have to go with a more restrictive knife in terms of weight, and you're looking at 6 inches, 6-inch blade, and the type of capability you can come to expect from that, this would be a good option if it's within your price range. If not, you have other options as well, like the ones I've mentioned before, the SRK, the Recon Scout by Cold Steel. Excellent options and much more affordable. This knife, as I said before, does not come with a sheath, so that's yet another thing you should be worrying about when buying one. You would, the typical complaint is, okay, I'm paying $300 for a knife and it doesn't come with a sheath. Well, it's the way it is. You just know all the facts, and it's up to you to decide what it is you want. For this knife, there's a sheath made by, what is it called? Special Ops. The Special Ops sheath will fit this knife. I have it right here. Let me see. Yeah, here it is. Spec Ops brand, specopsbrand.com. This sheath, which I think I've showed it previously, this sheath will fit this knife just as well. It is another $20-30 I think for the sheath, right? But you do get a good one. You get a nice sheath made in USA, the quality you can come to expect from this manufacturer, and that completes your setup for the Busse Basic6. You get if you put these two together, you're getting maybe one of the best 6-inch knives money can buy these days. The K-Bar, the Cold Steel SRK, Recon Scout, many other options that are much less expensive and almost just as good. Now, when it comes to torture tests and abusing a knife to its limits, have no doubt that the Busse Basic6 will outperform those knives I've mentioned. Okay, still very abuse resistant, but not as good as this one. If you want the best you can possibly get for your money, this would be it. So that's gonna be it for now, guys. Yeah, when you order in these Gansas, you can get these are limited editions. Once these are made, they don't get it made again. So yet another thing to consider, because it is something that you can resell for a good amount of money. You can get the different serial numbers. I got one with 357. I tried 308, but it wasn't available anymore for some reason. So yeah, again, if you want a Busse, check out at bussecombat.com, or especially at bladesforum.com, the Busse forum, where you will get all the information you need and learn a bit more about these knives. Guys, that's it for now. I hope you liked this show and tell, and that's gonna be it for now. See you on the blog, in the forum at themodernsurvivalist.com. Remember to subscribe to the forum, the YouTube channel as well, and see you in our next video. Take care.